So I am painting in acrylics today. You can obviously paint with in oils. Makes no difference. I've just put my color buster there to try and help us get the colors, get the camera to pick up the colors a bit better. Alright, so what do we need? We'll definitely need some white. So I've got some titanium white over there. Let's zoom in. So what I do is when I'm looking for my colors, I go start off here by the shadow area. So I'll go and pick up a color over there. So let's go and pick up a block and go and draw a block just to show you the color that I'm mixing. So there's the color that I'm mixing. And I'm not going to try and match it perfectly. I'm just going to try and get it more or less. So I've got some white, and let's see, that seems a sort of a purpley color. So I don't know, let's maybe do a bit of, maybe a cobalt or a cerulean. You could use a cerulean, is actually a better option there, you know that. I think I'm going to change my mind. Let's see if I can get my tube of cerulean open. Yeah, that looks closer, right? That's definitely getting us more on the right path. Okay, cerulean. And to get it more purpley, we'll definitely need a bit of red. So let's take, say, a little bit of crimson. You can use cadmium red as well. And let's go and mix them up and see what happens. And see if we need anything after that. Alright, Morena, if you haven't got cobalt or cerulean, use French ultramarine. Use any one of your blues. Yeah, to get that cerulean, Dennis is reminding me just add some, if you haven't got cerulean, add some viridian into it, into your ultramarine. But remember, your light, or this color that we're mixing now, depends on your sky color. So I may be mixing this color here now, but tomorrow I'll paint another painting. I don't know, let's go and pick up another picture and let's go and compare. Let me just find another one here. So let's maybe go and, so let's say maybe tomorrow you're painting this guy over here. That one there. So let's go and pick up the shadow color over there. So let's maybe go and pick that one up. I'm going to draw a box for him. So let's go and copy that. Let's go and paste him down, and let's go and compare those colors, and you'll see what I mean. Can you see the big difference? So it's not critical. It's not critical. It's all going to depend on what's around it, because it's white. It's picking up the colors around it, and obviously now the sky color as well. So if I end up mixing this color instead of this color, and I paint with it, it's going to look just fine. Don't break your back about it. So let's go and just zoom in a bit more on that guy again, and let's go and continue with our mixing. Okay, so I'm going to take some cerulean, let's add some crimson into it, and let's see where we get. Oh boy, that was way too much red, eh? Just way too much red. Can't believe how strong that red is. Alright, so now I've just got a color. Obviously now his tonal value is not correct, so let's go and add some white to that. And let's go and get his tonal value correct. So now again, what you can go and do to get your tonal value correct is just use the tonal chart on your color buster and go and just compare what value it is. Hold that up against the screen and then just check. It seems to be sort of a mid-tony value, and I think we're reasonably mid-tone. You can possibly go a bit darker there on that. So let's chuck that back in and chuck some more cerulean in just to get it back to blue, to the blue side. And now once you got your tonal value correct, then you can start fiddling with the actual color itself. So what I'm doing is I just hold it up. Maybe Dennis can just sort of zoom in so we can see the screen and the sort of to here, so that I can, yeah, just like that. So what I'm doing is I'm just holding my knife up, and then that's fine like that. So I'm just holding my knife up. Obviously now the camera is not going to pick up all these colors 100%. So I'm holding it up so that I can see the knife and the area that I'm mixing in the background like that.
Yeah, the angle is showing it too dark here.
Yeah, no, the camera's not going to pick that up so nicely, unfortunately. But I think you can sort of see what I'm doing. Okay, at the moment it's still too grey, which means I've got too much red in there. So I'm going to continue to add blue. And it just seems to have a touch of ultramarine in that mix there as well. So I think I'll bring in some ultramarine into that. And even my color that I've got here is not nearly the same as on the photo. It's close, but it's not. I'm not trying to get it perfect because I know a little bit later during the day it's going to look different. So that's all fine. There we go. I think that's close enough for my liking. He's now a little bit darker than the original tonal value. That's fine. It's easier for me to lighten it up by just popping a little bit of white in there. To darken it up means I have to go and make new color. So I'd rather leave him just a tad too dark instead of too light. Alright, so let's go and zoom back out again. We're done with that little block, so we can go and dump him. Okay, so what I'm going to start with here is I'm just going to start getting myself a feel for what goes where. So I'll just block in a few of these major little shadows and things, just to get a sort of my bearings about me, because at the moment all I've got is a bunch of lines on my canvas. So let's go and grab a brush. So I'm just going to take, let's go to here. I'm just going to take my soft bright my soft full bit brush. You can obviously go and use just a regular bristle brush at this stage as well. That's fine. I may even end up using a regular bristle brush. It just depends. Depends on how well this paint spreads on the canvas for me. Okay, so let's go and do that and pop him in there. So I'll pop in, say, this shadow running down here like this. And it's not solid or anything. It's just we're just sort of plotting. think that's going to put that picky in there, in that corner there. So just sort of plotting here. Here I've got another tree sort of at the back there throwing a shadow, which I don't really see. I know I've definitely got him up there like that. So pop him out there. And then this guy would probably end up also throwing a shadow. Now remember, your sun is going to come from one direction, so these guys should be roughly in the same direction. There, and then over here we've got this light, a little dip piece running around, sort of around there, like that. And we've got a little bit more around there, and here's a little sneaking around the back there. And here, this little piece here is going to be darker. Just a few little goodies, and that helps me place my tree trunks. And for now, that's enough. So now I can go back to my palette, and now we're going to start just mixing up a few of these the browns for the tree trunks and the distance. So as usual, we start at the back and we'll work our way forward. So let's take a look. Let's pop our picture down over there. No, that's not our picture, is it? Let's pop our picture down over there, and let's go and zoom in on this background area. See, we've got a little bit of color there. We've got some lovely sunlight at the back. There's actually a few yellows and greens in there. So let's go and do that. So I think what I'll do is let's top up the white. And let's maybe go and put down a touch of yellow. And you could use a sap green or something like that. I've got a permanent sap green here, so that saves me having to mix the color. Alright, so now we know to push that guy in the background, what we need to do is to get our atmospheric perspective correct. It's going to look more and more like the sky color as we move backwards. So guess what? Here's our sky color. So I'm going to take some white, add a little bit of this in it. And that's going to pretty much give us a sky colory kind of color. Let's bring in say a little bit of yellow into one side, like that. Maybe a little bit more white. Okay, so that's going to give us a bright yellow in the distance. So I'm going to take him, and I'll stick with my soft full bit for now. Pick up a little bit of that. And I'm just going to add a few little dabs and dashes. Very random, as random as I can. I think we can actually even do a little bit more, even more yellowy spots. So I'm picking up a little bit of white and a little bit of yellow, mixing them together. So it's a very light little yellow, just to add a few little sunshiny spots floating around here at the back. So I'm squeezing them in between the trees. So as I squeeze them in between the trees, that helps me define those tree trunks. So again, things start becoming a little bit more clear. So I'll pop some of those guys in over there. These greeny color. Because I'm just trying to get a little bit more color into this picture here, so just bear with me. And that's better, eh? Let's leave it at that there for now. Let's take a look. I think that's giving us a better rendition of the colors. As we add more color into the canvas, it'll gradually, the colors will become more and more true. Alright, so let's go back to the palette. So now maybe just add a little bit of green into this mix over here. And it's too bright, so I'll just steal some of our sky color into there just to dull him down. And we'll put some of that in as well. So, a few little dabs and dashes, and I don't want any hard lines in the background. So what I'll tend to do with stuff like this is I'll maybe put down a mark, and then I'll just tap it with my finger, just very lightly tap it, just to blur those edges. Remember, things go out of focus as we go further away. Maybe here's a full up at the back over there, and then maybe down here, the sort of, maybe there's a bit of a ridge over there, so this maybe the snow ends. So I'll pop in over there. Now what's nice about just tapping it with your finger, because you automatically then get those random spots where it's lighter and darker and stuff like that. So that gives us a nice little, I think let's carry on this little ridge that we got there. I quite like that idea. Maybe goes up and then down again. When I'm tapping, I'm getting those lighter and darker areas automatically. Yeah, that's fine. And maybe a little bit over here, right here. Just like that. Now make sure you go either slightly over your tree trunks, where the tree trunks are, or you very carefully go right next to them. Now if you do go right next to them, just make sure you get continuity. So if it sort of ends this side, you've got something stopping over there, you've got to sort of imagine it continues and it pops his head out over there, so that you get continuity behind the tree. Let's see, I think we can maybe add even just something a little bit duller. So what I'm doing now is I'm just adding even more of my snow shadow color into this green, just to get a few real dull greens in here as well. Yeah, there's nothing really there. That, maybe here's some dull greens up here, and I'll leave white space as well for now. That's not a problem. Yeah, I think that's enough detail for the background. Alright, so what I'm doing now is I want to create that effect that there's some trees way out into the distance and stuff. So let's take, say, a bit of, yeah, I think maybe a bit of burnt sienna or burnt umber. The one I've got here is actually a burnt umber, so let's pop some of that down there. Oh, he's nearly finished this tube. Okay, so what I want to do now is to push those real distant trees. Let me show you over here. See these trees here in the distance? They well lighter because of our atmospheric perspective and because of the extra light at the back there. I think I'm going to take my burnt sienna and I'm going to add some water to it. If you're painting within oils, then obviously you won't be able to just add water to it. You can't add medium yet at this stage, so just add some white and this sort of sky color that we mixed over there. You can do that as well. Just mix some of that in there. I'm just going to add some water to it because that now gives me a more sort of a transparent kind of color. I'm even going to dab it on the kitchen roll just to make sure that there's very little paint on this brush. And here in between, I'm just going to suggest a few little sticks and twigs and goodies. Again, not too much detail. Make sure I get a few guys going in behind trees and stuff like that to get continuity going. Not too much. Remember, this is far out in the distance. Maybe there's a few little goodies. So again, it's just sort of just a few dabs and dashes and things. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually use my head dryer. I'm going to dry this. There, like that. And I see the color we're seeing on the screen now is accurate according to what I see on my canvas. So what you're seeing is what I'm seeing now. Good stuff. Okay. Now, how do we show all the snow and stuff here in the background? Can you see you can clearly see there's lots of snow in the background, still in the trees and stuff. So how do we do that? Guys, if you did do this little background piece, the trees and stuff with your oils, then obviously you won't be able to dry your painting, and it's not necessary. I've just sort of saved myself a touch of time by doing that. So I will show you how to do this next step without having dried. So if you were painting in the oils, you just have to work this next step a little bit more careful than what I'm able to do now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the palette, and I'm going to take some of this sky color. I'm going to take some of that, and again I'll pop some down over here, and I'm going to bring some water into it, and I'm going to do a glaze in that background area over there. So that's going to push back that stuff that I've painted there even further, and it's going to give me take away that white of the canvas and make it look a little bit further away, and give me that snowy effect. So I've done that. So if you're using oils, what you're going to do is you're going to just take this and just pop it out in between all these little just pop it out in between all these guys that you've done. If there is little pieces of white canvas shining through, it doesn't matter. Remember, it's a very light little wash that I'm adding in now. All I'm trying to do is just get rid of that super pure white of the canvas, and you'll see what happens. It's pushing that all the stuff back, because now it's got that coating over it, so it's making it look all hazy in the distance. As quick as that. So I'm going to dry him again. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to gradually start working our way closer. Now, as we come closer, you see your contrasts get a lot more. So notice, take a look over, let's zoom in on this little piece over here. Notice you've got even though you've got highlights and shadows, you haven't got much contrasts to work with. And then as you gradually move more and more forward, your contrasts gradually get more and more and more. So let's do that. Can you see how these shadows here are a lot more darker? But our lights have sort of stayed the same. Our lights haven't got lighter. And then here we've got real contrasts. Look at these nice, lovely, deep colors we've got over here. So now we're starting to get highlights, midtones, and shadow colors. Val Webb's painting with, and she says she's just dropped her hairdryer and it's all in pieces. Yes, you can borrow mine, Val. Here you go. I'm not using it at the moment. Okay, so that's basically what we're going to work on now. It's just getting these contrasts to bring us more and more forward as we go along. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop down the palette over here so you can see what colors that I'm using. So at the back we've basically started off with this sky color over here. So as I go along, I'm going to gradually add a little bit more of my dark snow shadow color to it. I'll generally first put down the shadowy color, and then I'll come back and I'll add a bit of a highlight onto it. So at this point all I'm trying to do is just establish that little ridge and stuff at the back there. And there's obviously a few little pieces of snow stuck to trees and stuff, so a few little dabs and dashes of snow color in between there as well is also good. It's running down there like that. So real low contrasts, nothing too exciting at this point. Now what I am doing is, as I put this guy down, as I put him down, I immediately fade him away. I don't want to get hard lines and stuff at this stage. So remember we said earlier there's no real hard lines in the snow. Alright, so now I'm going to go a little bit darker. Not too much. Don't go too dark too quickly. That's really important. And now I'm just going to use my my picture as a guide. So let's see. I've got this little darker area running around there like this, against that tree there. And maybe he comes up now. You see what I'm doing? To get the continuity, I'm going to make as though I'm painting there behind the tree, to make sure I can get a nice continuous line running between the trees. Like that, and fade the bottom piece away. And then here I've just got a few little dabs and dashes. So I'm just going to literally add dabs and dashes. Okay, those back trees there, they can get their shadow in. Probably like that. Just more or less for now. That guy gets his shadow in there like that. I want them separate. I want two nice little lines over there. I think there was another tree actually coming down there. Just something like that. Alright, so let's go and put in those tree trunks, and then we'll have definite clarity, and we'll start getting some definite distance.